Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Buffnagel the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Buffnagel Podcast, where we talk about all things good, the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Zach, and we got a fantastic show today. We're going to be hopping around, jumping out of things, and just having a grand old time. But I can't do that alone. So, as always, I'm joined by Rafe. Rafe, how you doing today?
Zach, I am utterly fantastic. It is a great day to be doing a podcast with you. First of all, thank you to all our listeners. Without you guys, I'm not sure why we would do this without the listeners out there. Thanks to you, we are a global top 10% podcast. As usual, we can be reached at buffnagel@buffnagel.com and all over the interwebs. If you look for Buffnagel, you'll find us there. All right. And if you are new to our podcast, welcome. We are glad you are here. Remember to share the buff with your friends. Share the love. Share the buff. Tell your friends. If you get a friend to listen, you will get a free episode. And remember to subscribe. It costs you nothing. Leave a 5-star review. It costs you even less. And that helps us out, and it gets us pointing in the right direction. Zach, like I said, it's a great day to be doing a podcast with you. I am fantastic.
Yes, that is fantastic to hear. We got a guest actually today. We haven't done one of those in a while. So we have roped somebody in who's unfortunate enough to know us, or fortunately enough to, something in between there. But so we're bringing on a writer, a singer, a pilot in training, a lover and maker of fine baked goods. So we can talk about brownies in just a second and derail the conversation from there. But it's my great pleasure to, welcome onto the show. Probably one of the most genuine and authentic people we've had on in a while, because usually we're stuck with us. So it is my great pleasure to welcome Sarah Schutte to the show. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me on.
Sarah, Zach was saying, how did we get to know her? And Sarah is a friend of the family, somebody who has actually been on the show before, and she is a writer of sorts. And we came across an article she wrote entitled "They Seemed to Know No Fear," and it's a book review of two books regarding World War II pilots. And pilots and history stuff are things that resonate well with us. And so our friend Sarah has written a little article on this. And I thought, we should get this lady on here and have her chat with us. So two books, one by one about the legendary ace Robin Olds, and one about Lucky 666, the impossible mission that changed the war in the Pacific. Stories of heroism and courage and all sorts of wonderful things. Sarah, did they move you? Were these fun to read, or was this an assignment you had to do for history class?
No, I am, thank goodness, out of school. So no history class for me, though I do love history. And I liked my history classes in college. I read these. So I am a pilot in training, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. And I told one of my friends, I live near an Air Force base, so I have some Air Force friends. And I told him that I was applying for some scholarships. And one of them was specifically for people who are interested in working on restoring old warbirds. And he was like, "Oh, you should read I've got these great books that you should read." And so he lent me the book about Robin Olds Robin Olds' autobiography, actually. And then the one about the eager beavers. And I was absolutely fascinated. I started with the Robin Olds book. And both books are very, very different. I think I talked a little bit about this in my article, because one is kind of like a stream of consciousness, basically. He's just talking about his experience and kind of every thought and feeling that he had. And some of it was just, all of it was really interesting. Some of it was hard to read. Some of it was, really personal. But you got such an interesting view, kind of like a boots on the ground, his perspective. And then the other one was all true, but it was written in a novel sort of form. So you just couldn't put it down. You wanted to keep reading. It gave you this bird's eye view, but then also it would kind of get in really nitty gritty with some of the with some of the characters, for lack of a better term. And I was just so drawn in by this. And I was so moved, that is, I think is a great word, by what I read. I'd always loved World War II history, but this just put a whole new perspective on some of that stuff. And then, I don't know, just the pilot portion of this, like what these men did, not only like flight wise, but just their courage and the honor. It was amazing.
Well, it was interesting because when I was reading through this, I was like, Robin Olds, do I know this Robin Olds guy? And I thought to myself, I have been listening to, and maybe you have too, the Bill Whittle did a series of podcasts called What We Saw. All right. And he has a number of them. One of them about, it's 4 episodes on the space race and why going to the moon with Apollo 11 was a natural outcome. It was the next step in a series of things that started back in the 40s. And the other one was a history of the Cold War and all sorts of things that happened from the start of the communist takeover in Russia all the way to Gorbachev. And there's an episode in there on Robin Olds, and he tells the story of when they turned I guess they turned the tables on the North Vietnamese when they were shooting them down all over Vietnam. January 2nd, 1967 was this legendary air battle over Vietnam, and Robin Olds was the architect of that. I assume that story's in there. Is that right?
It is. Yeah, he talks. Actually, he's got a really, I wouldn't say long, but the lead up to that mission is a pretty big deal. And it's so funny reading it because from his perspective, he doesn't ever. To me, it never came across like he was bragging about what he did or anything. It just was what he was doing, and he would do anything to be in the lead or at least just flying. That's what he wanted to be doing. And so there's this lead up to that moment. But I think I almost missed how important of a moment that was because it was just another thing that he did. So, but yeah, that was a big deal, and it is in the book. And you get to learn how he came to that point because there were all these frustrations that he had with what was going on and what was not happening. And so he used his connections to leadership to be like, look, this is what's going on here. We are not allowed to shoot them like this. We can't attack here, which is where we need to be attacking. How can we fix this? And so it came up with this amazing ruse and definitely tricked them. It was really interesting.
So I'm gonna have to read this because I used to I listened to this episode. This episode came out on Bill Whittle's podcast on April 10th, 2020, and I remember I would go on walks, a long walk through our neighborhood, and it was a couple miles. And I remember, I can tell you where I was, the entire story that he tells, because it was so riveting of how they duped the North Vietnamese who had been just absolutely obliterating our pilots across South Vietnam, and how they turned the tables on them that day. And it was a rout, and it was full of bravado, full of really wise planning, and being very, very clever, and working within the rules, within the scope, and doing a great thing to keep our Air Force guys safe. So, but you're flying now. Did this move, like, you live near an Air Force base? You live outside of Dayton, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's right, Patterson. And so, do you guys hang out at the? Do you go to the club and wear those little jackets with the things on the?
No, I do actually. My flight jacket is behind me. I made myself one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I have a.
Wait! You made yourself a flight jacket?
Well, I bought the flight jacket, I went to the thrift store and found a jacket, like a nice green one, and then I put the patch from the school that I fly out of on it, and so.
Well, that is really awesome. Okay, yeah. So you have a flight jacket.
I do.
You wear your little flight jacket when you do your, like. So, how far are you in your training, and what's required to get to where you're going now?
So my current goal, I've got a lot of goals, but my current one that I'm focusing on is to land the plane correctly. Two, I'm aiming for my VFR, so visual flight reference is what I'm working for right now. So just my basic private pilot's license, and then I want to go immediately on to get my instrument rating, so I can fly and then go from there. My goal is to be able to fly a seaplane, because I just think that'd be super cool. But I'm just over 10 hours. I was actually supposed to have a lesson today, but we've had crazy winds, and so I wasn't able to go. So right now I've just working on landings, and then once I'm almost ready to solo. So I've been taking my pre-solo test as a written test, and I have to be able to land. I practice my emergency procedures. And then once I do that, then I have to do a bunch of dual cross countries. I have to do some night flying. I have to get, I think, at least 40 hours. You can get your private pilot's license at 20 hours. That's like the minimum, but it takes most people about 40 to 50. And just with my crazy work schedule, it is going to take me that long. But
they say about landing the plane, any landing that you can walk away from is a good landing. Okay, just and the follow up is any landing that you can reuse the airframe is a great landing.
Great landing.
So I think if you now you have been landing, you've been taking off and landing, and you do things in the pattern, and you go and you listen to that.
Skippy do a barrel roll? No.
I wish. I want to do some acrobatics. I might do that.
Have you done acrobatics?
Not yet. No.
Oh, it is.
A school.
You've got it. At least sometime you have to take some acrobatic flights.
Ooh,
because it is okay. There's two things. So I assume are you flying Cessnas 150s?
Yeah. 172.
172. Okay. So and you sit side by side, and that's very nice, and that's very polite, and it's very suburbs. Okay, but what you need to do is you got to get yourself in a biplane, and you got to go inverted. You've got to do this. It is something that you can have people tell you what it's like, but you can't even think about what it's like, right? Because when you're in the plane, like right now I'm in a chair and you're in a chair and Zach's in a chair. Okay, we're in chairs and we're kind of like gravity locks us down to the planet, right? Right, and gravity still works when you're up in the plane. It locks you down onto the seat, right? And when you're turning, you get like all these forces that keep you pushed into the seat. When you go upside down, quite literally, all of that goes out the window. All right. And the only thing that keeps you falling, like I never once thought about it until we're getting in the plane. And Jared was my instructor. He says, okay, you got to put the harness on. I was like, the harness. So first of all, you got to have a parachute because you're going inverted. Okay. That's the rule. Right. And then the second thing is you have to put the harness on because when you're upside down, you will fall out or at least bonk your head on the ceiling. If there is a ceiling on the plane, if you don't have a harness on, and everything like, it's upside down, but it's not like you're just upside down. It just feels completely different because now instead of having this weight sitting on your butt here like this, the weight is all on your shoulder. All of your weight now is on your shoulders and the blood's coming to your head. All right. And up is down and down is up. And if you're in a biplane, you're flying a stick instead of a yoke.
Okay.
And the stick, you've got to fly the stick. It's like the world's greatest video game, but there's no reset, right? I mean, if you don't walk away, there's no free lives for your quarter. Yeah. But if you get a chance to fly acrobatics, you've got to do it.
So I found out that we do have an acrobatic school in the area. So once I get better, maybe that'll be my birthday present to myself next year.
So I keep talking to Harry. Harry is Zach's brother, and he's the one who did the episode on the flying thing. Yep. But I keep telling him to try the acrobatics, but he doesn't really like roller coasters either. So at that point, I'm like, well, you got to.
But you're gonna say he doesn't like fun.
Well, Harry does a lot of fun. It's just it's a little subtler of fun. So all right. So how long have you been doing the flying thing?
So I took my discovery flight at the beginning of June of this year, and then I started taking lessons in end of July, beginning of August, I think. So not long.
But it keeps it's the more you do it, the more you want to do it.
Yeah. All I want to do is I'll be working, and Fridays are my longest day, and I often have a lesson at the end of the day, and all I want to do is I really enjoy my job, but all I want to do is be done so that I can go to my lesson.
Go get in the
So
plane. So, and you have an instructor. You have a guy, a lady.
I have a guy. Yep. Yeah,
And
he's excellent. He's really good.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And he's not doing barrel rolls on takeoff.
No.
That's a good thing.
No, it's been fun. He's super tough, which I told, actually, I was over there today and before they called it off because of the wind. And he was walking me through things for my tests and stuff, because there's a lot of information that you have to know. And I'm pretty nervous about all of that. And so I told him, I was like, look, and when I come, can you just start giving me these random pop quizzes? Just ask me questions, because they're not back there right now, but behind me, I've got all of my study cards for ground school. I've got probably over 100 right now that I'm trying to go through. So it's just a lot of information.
So, and you haven't soloed yet?
No, not yet. Next couple weeks.
Do you know how they do the solo? So
I have an idea, but go for it.
Okay, so here's how they did it. Like, somebody told me this would happen, and then this is kind of how it happened. So I'll share this. It's like, so he'll say, well, let's go do some pattern work today, right? So you go out there and you do the checking and you do all the thing, and then you do a couple touch and goes. And he says, well, let's go back to the tarmac. We'll do some taxi work. And he says, why don't you just stop here and let me out? That's what he said. He's just, we're going to stop here. And he let me out, or I let him out, and then he got out and he said, well, go do another loop and come around and do that. So you are in Dayton. Are you in like near the airspace? Here's what I'm asking is, I took my training in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is in the middle of nowhere, about an hour north of Denver. And there was the closest controlled airport was in Cheyenne, right, which was an hour away at least. So everything was uncontrolled. So, it'd be guys yakking on the radio all the time, and you have to do whatever you have to say. And so
You have to make the sound.
I would always make the sound at the beginning, and my instructor would say, you don't have to do that. But I thought it kind of added a little thing, but I always at the beginning and at the end. But so do you do a lot of, are you controlled? Because I always find controlled airports to be a lot more, well, they were a lot more tense than
stressful, involved.
Uncontrolled, yeah.
Yeah, I fly in and out of an uncontrolled, non-towered airport. Currently, it's a very small one runway, both sides, that kind of thing. So that's where I fly out of. But I am pretty close to, actually, one of the coolest, there's so many cool things about it, but I loved learning that this is the airport that I fly in and out of, but there are so many right around us. There's one, I live near one where the pattern for landing is right over the house. And then there's Urbana, and I landed in Miamisburg the other day. And I'm really close to Dayton, like the Dayton airport itself, whatever that is, Cox International. So yeah, there's a lot of different airports around here. So, and I come in over a river, so it's a little intimidating.
I didn't know this when we moved here. We're in this little rental house here north of Indianapolis, and less than a mile that way is a little airstrip, a grass strip that I didn't know existed until one day I saw a plane. I thought, oh my God, that guy's going to crash. And no, he just came and landed right on the grass. And then less than a mile this way, there's another one that goes orthogonal to it. And I had driven by that zillions of times until I saw it one time on one of those Google satellite. I was looking at I was checking out where the sidewalks and the bike trails go. And I was like, that says landing strip. And then when you drive by it, you can see, oh, that must be the landing strip. And there are airports everywhere, and there are lots of places you can land, even if it's not an airport, as long as you're nice, right? Well, good. So you are doing this. You're about halfway done with what's mandatory, and you still have a lot of stuff to do. I forget. I was in Dayton for 4 years, but does the winter get bad enough that you're going to have to reduce your training schedule a little bit?
I actually have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. Dayton is a really weird place weather-wise, so I like
that caveat at the end, weather-wise, right? So, but do you have you want to get be soloed by by Christmas, and you want to be licensed by March or something?
No, my current goal is to solo in like the next probably 2 weeks, maybe. Yeah, my instructor's really prepped me for this. I was not expecting it to go so fast. He's really, we're working. So I'm hoping to have that. And then I'm hoping to take the big giant FAA test over Christmas. And then my instructor thinks I'll probably have it before then, but by next June is when I hope to have my private pilot's license. So so it's a bit, I don't know. We'll see how the timing works out, but it might be sooner, might be later.
And then you get to do instrument rating so you can fly with your eyes closed.
Exactly.
And upside down.
What was that?
And upside down.
And upside down. Upside down with your eyes closed. That would be great.
Woo.
And backwards. Wait.
That would be well, okay, I have flown backwards, Zach. Did I tell you this?
How do you do that?
Here's how you fly backwards, okay? You get in one of these acrobatic planes and you do a thing called a hammerhead, which you take the plane and you go straight up until the plane's hanging on the propeller. And then eventually the thrust of the propeller is not strong as gravity, and the plane will start to fall back down backwards, right? And you can tell it's going backwards because they tie onto the struts of the biplane. We had cassette tape, like a ribbon of cassette tape, and you would see it when you were flying. It was like stretched out straight behind you, but when you were vertical, it would start fluttering. When you start falling backwards, it flips, right? And that's how you fly backwards.
That's
Zach,
so
cool. You didn't think we could fly backwards, did you, Zach?
Well, I assumed we could. I just thought of it differently.
I really struggle parking the plane, so I do hate that there is no reverse on the plane. So it drives me nuts because I stink at parking. I think it's just a female thing, but I still can't do it in a plane.
Would you have trouble parking the car?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's why I park out in East Egypt when I go to the grocery store, because I'm like, nah.
I gotcha. All right, so you are also a lover. What did we say? A lover and maker of baker. So are you a bake? You're a baker.
I am. Yes.
Are you the best brownie maker in your family?
No, I actually failed 2 times recently making brownies. So I'm
okay. I can make brownies.
You can make brownies. See, okay.
Like, it can't be that hard.
No. I'm still ticked about this. So I'm a huge America's Test Kitchen fan. And so I don't know if you guys know anything about
Is that a show?
It is a show.
Okay, great.
Yeah, America's Test Kitchen. They've been around for like 26 years now or something. I love their stuff. They test everything. They're so good. I trust all of their recipes until I made these filled brownie bites. They look like a brownie cupcake, basically. I followed every direction really closely, and I made them a double batch 2 times. I burned the first one. After it was out of the oven, I kid you not, they burned sitting, cooling in the pan. Like the residual heat burned them.
Are you supposed to leave them in the pan?
Yes.
Okay.
I followed every direction. I made a double batch a second time and also completely failed. I bought cupcake wrappers for them this time because I didn't have them last time. And I was like, okay, put them in the cupcake wrappers. I'm going to take them out of the pan, even though it says not to because it burned last time. Pulled them out. They stuck to the cupcake wrappers.
Okay, have you tried the take them out without the cupcake wrappers, or were we just giving up?
I gave up. I was like, never again. I was so mad.
No, these were brownie bites, so they're like little cupcakey brownies?
Yep. Yeah.
Did you use the stick to put the stick in it to see if the stuff sticks to it?
No, I mean, they were baked. They were fine. But yeah, I think I have no idea. I was so upset. I followed every direction. I was like, I cannot believe I just wasted this many ingredients.
And 2 double batches. That's like 4 batches.
Double batches. Yep.
Zach, what do you think?
There you go, Zach.
It sounds like you need a better brownie recipe.
I completely agree. Do you have one? I will take it.
I do. It's written down on a junior legal pad.
I was going to say, I will only take it if it's not boxed, though. It cannot
it's
be
not boxed.
Okay, good.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
So do they have enough oil in them? I guess. Do they stick?
I don't even know. I don't know. I have had lots of successes with other things, but apparently I cannot make brownies, and I just have to be okay with that. So,
all right. Now, so you fly the plane every Friday when you can, when you don't have to come record this podcast. All right, and you bake good things when you don't burn the brownies, but you do other things. You're a singer, and so are you a trained singer? Or is that just a hobby?
I am a trained singer. I do it as a hobby now, but that's what I studied in college. I was a voice major in college. So yeah, trained in opera, a little bit of jazz, not much. But yeah, a lot of choral singing. So I'm in church choirs, and I direct my own glee club, and I direct a children's choir. So yeah, a lot of music.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't even see that coming. So you're in the church. Okay, I have to process these things. These are big. So you're in the church choir.
Yes.
You direct your own glee club.
I do.
Okay, so I got to think about this glee club. So in my head, when I think of glee club, I think of barbershop quartet, which of course is not glee club, but it seems very gleeful.
Yes,
so and certainly with the white and red striped suits.
Yes.
Zach, we should get Bufnago. We should have a Bufnago glee club.
We don't want that. The world doesn't need that.
All right, so what do you? Okay, what do glee clubs sing? What makes them different from other groups? Can you make money being in a glee club? How do you get a glee club together? I have so many questions.
Oh, okay. So I'll try to answer that. So I started this glee club because okay, so let's see where to start with this. So I lived in New York for a year, right before COVID, working this job that I still currently work. So I moved back, one, because of COVID, and two, because my boss was very gracious and let me move back because I didn't like living in the city. So I moved back here, and then 2020 happened. And then beginning of 2021, I was really bored and I needed a new music outlet because I had done so much music in college and then when I was in New York, and now I didn't have that anymore. So I was like, I sing so much sacred music at church. I want a place where I can sing secular music, but I want to have a little bit more control over it. And so I started my own glee club. I just asked around. They were most of it was mostly teens actually from our area. I got most of my siblings to do it. And
wait. So you have a lot of siblings. Are you the biggest sibling or the little in the middle?
I am the biggest sibling.
So you really cajoled them into. I mean, you did. Was
actually,
it forced? Was it?
No, I did. I just asked, and they wanted to join.
Okay,
I could bring them in here, and they will tell you that I did not force them. So.
Okay, so you're like the Van Trapp family.
Yes, we have had people describe us like that.
Okay. you have a glee club. You have the Van Trapp glee club.
We do. It's actually, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
And you don't have to escape the Nazis, so that's good.
Exactly. So we wanted an opportunity, as I said, to sing a little bit more secular music. So I kind of had a theme. So our first concert, we did it in my parents' backyard. And it was really fun.
Wait. Okay, so is this like you go around... You make little posters,
yep.
Like come see the Van Trapps, and you stick them up on like the light poles and stuff like that around town.
No, well we would just tell people that we knew, and we put it out there. So we did that, and then that
do you have matching uniforms?
No, we do not.
Okay, all right.
We don't, which is fine. So we had a really good first concert. It was like an Americana themed one, and some of our guys did a barbershop quartet, and we did
So what's the? I'm sorry, I'm not even letting you finish here. So it's like, is there like a piano or a banjo or what?
It depends on the song. And
do you play all those things too?
I play piano, and I am teaching myself ukulele. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I would bring in accompanists for this because I know a lot of people who play. So that was a good first concert. And then in November we did. I can't remember what our theme was now.
In November, what would it be, Zach? What would be a November theme? Maybe autumn.
Yeah, maybe, but we didn't do autumn. We didn't do that though. We did.
That's not a very good theme for like music, though.
No,
there's not a lot of good Thanksgiving carols, right?
We haven't created any yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good Thanksgiving hymns, but anyway, so we had a really good November concert last year, and then we were just kind of brainstorming, and we're like, it'd be really fun to take back St. Patrick's Day and make it, instead of this. I mean, drinks are great, but what if we I don't know. So we kind of went all out, and so they just opened a Chesterton school here in our area, and we decided to do a fundraiser for them. And so we had this massive St. Joseph's St. Patrick's Day mashup, and we did this incredible fundraiser glee club concert thing. It was the coolest thing. My dad and his brother were our MCs, and we set up a bar, and then we basically had like all these acts that kind of happened. We tried to make it look like a bar, and we served people a meal, and then all these different funny things kind of happened. So it was like a show. It was so cool. So that was in the spring.
And you did the whole, and you guys coordinated all of that stuff to raise money for the school.
Yeah. So we did that. And then over the summer, I was like, no, I'm done. That was so much work. But it'd be really fun if we sang madrigals. So that we pulled together madrigals with the group. Whoever wanted to come, we sang a little
madrigals.
Madrigals.
And madrigals are, I think, in my head, I hear minstrel, but I don't think that's the right. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. But you're thinking like right time period. So like medieval. It's so have you ever heard like sacred polyphony? Like if you go to like a Latin mass, they sing like those really big, fancy pieces. So think sort of like that, but secular. So and a lot of them are very old and very well known. I'm trying to think of one that is really well. One's not coming off the top of my head, but
so like when in Monty Python when they sing about Brave Sir Robin,
I think so. I actually never seen Monty Python.
Okay.
So you're a good person, is what you're saying.
She's noble, virtuous. Actually,
why is she on here? Why is she slugging with us? Wait. What charity is she donating to?
Yeah, that's right. She's raising money for poor people by coming on our podcast. Okay, all right. So you this is the Glee Club, all right, and this is the Glee stuff you do, and the idea is it's just fun, happy, good, wholesome music that's not necessarily hymn inspired or religiously affiliated.
Yep.
All right, and then you have a child's choir as well.
Yeah, I direct a children's choir at one of the churches I sing at. So, it's really, really fun.
And how old are the kids?
8 to 18 is the range.
Oh, really? And then when they leave 18, then they have to join the Van Trapp Family Singers.
we welcome lots
whoever
of
wants
ages.
to come. Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, that should keep you busy, all right? And then I was going to say, what do you do in your spare time? But I don't know. There's much more than that. So you want to get. I'm going to go back to the pilot thing. So you want to fly the seaplane. Do you have any desires to make that a career thing? Is that just a fun hobby thing? Is that a thing you would consider? Like, do you want to fly jets for UPS, or do you want to, take people on, aerial tours of Dayton? That sort of thing.
That is a great question. I actually don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this. I keep praying about it. I don't know why God has opened this door. So we shall see. Right now, it's just a hobby, and I've got goals within that, and I've got the time got the time right now to do that. And so we'll just kind of keep progressing. I don't particularly want to fly commercial. That's not. So I like small planes for right now. So we'll see.
When you're on a regular plane, like a commercial jet, do you feel different now than you did before?
I actually haven't been on a commercial jet since starting this, so I guess we'll find out when I go on one.
Because I always liked flying the small planes, the Cessnas, better, and the smaller the plane, the better for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel less like cargo.
Yes.
Is how I'm thinking about it. When the pilot has to look you in the eye, that's I don't know. I guess that's he's going to take you a little bit more seriously than if you're just a UPS box in the back seat, right? So
yeah.
All right. So Zach typically asks our Big Brain Smart Head guests, of which you are one, a question at the end here. But I want to give you an opportunity if you have anything you would like to ask us in particular. We would gladly welcome that question. Or if we don't like the question or the answer, we'll just edit it out. So is there anything before Zach's final question?
That is a good question. This is something I'm trying to get better at, is asking good questions. This is not a skill I have. My siblings are good at asking questions.
Okay, so why don't you ask us how we got to be doing what we're doing?
Oh, I could ask you that. Or I could ask you a favorite type of music.
A favorite type of music?
Yeah. Or what's a song that defined your childhood?
Oh my goodness.
Childhood? Wait.
Oh wow. You know what song defines Zach's childhood is probably the
Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting?
That you could use that one.
There. Layla is definitely up there. You're a bad influence.
See, okay, so this is why he has these songs, because these were the songs that I had on the CDs that were in my truck when he was becoming conscious. And so
Holler.
Eric Clapton and Elton John would play, and Zach learned all those songs. But a song that defines my childhood, oh my goodness, American Pie was big. That was a thing, and once you learned all the references in American Pie, that kind of gave you this little lesson of that piece in history. I guess that probably defined my childhood. I'm not sure it defined the country when I was a child. I'm not sure I have one that defines my childhood. I loved a lot of Elton John stuff, the early stuff that he did, and the Billy Joel things, and that same era that Zach is talking about. Those were the songs that were on the radio when I listened to the radio as a kid. So those are that's the pop music that does that. But we did a lot of classical music stuff too, because I don't know why we did that, but it must have been, we took a field trip once when I was a little kid, probably 4th, 5th, 6th grade. And we went to see the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra play Mussorgsky's Pictures at an exhibition. And I remember all my little friends were like, just yik-yakking. And I was just glued to the conductor. He would do the little promenade thing, and then he would tell you what the picture was. And then he would do the next thing. And like, I have so many recordings now of Pictures at an Exhibition. And if you ever get to hear it on piano, the original one was written by piano, and Ravel he orchestrated it. Right. And it is, and then I wanted to learn how to play it. Okay. Of course I can't play it, but I wanted to learn how to play it. The score that I have for Pictures at an Exhibition, there are so many notes during the Great Gate of Kiev that there are 3 staffs of music. I think there's 2 trebles, and I'm like, how do I do this with only 2 hands? All right. And it was, that song. Okay. The piano version of the Hut of Baba Yaga rolling right into Great Gate of Kiev. That sequence defines what was in my head as when I was middle school and high school. I'm sorry, that was a really long answer.
No, that was a great answer.
Zach?
How can I top that?
Yeah, well, but you know what? Okay, you know what's in your head, Zach? I can tell you this one. It's the song. It's the Aerosmith song at the end of the movie Miracle.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
That's a good one. Or it's soundtracks.
Yeah.
Or just like soundtracks from like the mid 2000s to the mid 2000 movies, because like that's what I would listen to before games. That, would you play? And then as weird as it sounds, before every single rugby game my senior year in high school, I listened to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven.
Nice.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure what that says about me or this, like, but like I would do that, and then like pregame before, like when I was driving to the game, I would listen to it was usually like soundtrack music, and then like that developed into this own thing of like now like my default go to anytime like I need like a calming space or like motivation or anything like that, I go to Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel soundtrack that came out in 2013.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I pregame before I go to my flights, but that's not what I listen to.
I was flipping that. Like I got bored of my the same 80 songs are on my phone and they've been there for however many years, but I was flipping through either Amazon Music or Spotify or one of those, and U2's Street with No Name came on. And I had forgotten that I'm colorblind, so I can't fly at night. Oh. So I would get up really early in the morning in the summer, and I would take that cassette, and I would, as I was backing out of my parking space to go to the airport in the dark, I would turn that in, and that was my game, put on your game face kind
pre-game,
of
pre-game song.
Yeah.
Pre-game song. So, and I heard that just the other day, and I thought of driving in my 1990 Volkswagen Jetta out to the airport. So
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I don't know it.
It's a very good one.
Yeah. So Zach, do you have a question for
it's now time for me to do the one thing I do on this podcast. Sarah, lovely talking to you. Loving meeting you today for the first time. Thank you for slumming with us. Other than that all said, out of the way. What is some advice you can give to our listeners for them to help to find and seek the good in their own lives based on your story, things you've done, and everything else you're creating in your life? Very open-ended.
That is very open-ended. It's dangerous to be asked to give advice. If you pray, prayers foremost. Seeking the good. You have to do that. Don't lose your sense of humor. And if you don't have one, find one. That's part of seeking the good. I mean, God is, I don't know if it's kosher to say that God is joy, but he's joyful God, and there's so much beauty within that. I'm reading a really great book by Dr. Peter Kreeft right now about humor, and that's really bringing that home to me. So seeing, good humor, and then and enjoy the small things. Have things that you're looking forward to that are small, that excite you. Whether it's you're excited because you're going to look at the sunrise tomorrow, or you know that you have a candy bar waiting for you and you're going to save it for the next day, or you're going to get through this piece of work and you are going to listen to a song that you love. Have small things in life that bring you joy, that you look forward to, and smile as much as you can.
That sounds great. Sarah, thank you for coming. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Rafe and Zach, thank you guys. I really appreciate this.
Awesome. Thanks again, Sarah. And to all of our listeners, I want to go remind you to go seek the good, be the good, and spread the good. Enjoy the adventure of life.